Those of you who've actually had sex with a friend's mom or dad, how did it go down? It was my friend's aunt, not his mom, but they were like close family and always over his house. I knew her for about 10 years, but barely spoke at length with her. She had a pretty American life, husband, 3 boys, they liked camping and archery and Boy Scouts. They were always involved with family and friends, and always together. Her husband had been cheating on her with their kids' friends' parents. Kind of a swinging situation, but she was out of the loop. Once she found out, she kept it secret, because she didn't want to ruin the family, and just dealt with denying their relationship, while sleeping in the same bed. She knew for about 4 years and finally, at 40 years old, and 20 years of marriage, decided to divorce him. Very messy divorce. Her ex straight told her kids that she just didn't want a family anymore, and she didn't want to tell them he had cheated, because she didn't want them to think of their father like that. She held true for quite a few years, but the kids were brainwashed by her ex. She was alienated from her kids. I was over my friends, her nephews, house on and off for a lot of my late teens and early 20s. He lived right down the road, and us younger guys would smoke weed and hang out there all the time. The entire summer was spent at his house. I was about 23, she 42, when we just kinda started chatting at the table. She didn't smoke. She would just be visiting the family, because it was all she had at that point. Every couple weeks after that we would find ourselves chatting away somewhere in or around the house or the pool. Often when people were around, we kept conversations short, and a lot of eye glancing and passing rubs would take the place of talk. She was definitely in great shape, cute and blonde, strong, determined, but you could tell she dealt with a lot. She was tense to the touch. She worked hard and just didn't get a good shake. We started texting because we needed each other's numbers for some Halloween party she was hosting for the extended family. Eventually intermittent texting turned flirtatious. Similar to the top post on this thread, we started to hug goodbye from seeing each other, and she would just hug a little bit longer than friendly. One night, I was house sitting for someone and told her I was doing nothing and she could come by and hang out, meet the dogs and the weird lizard they had. She accepted, and I definitely experienced a type of anxiety that you could taste. She came over. We ordered Italian food. She didn't even want to be seen by the delivery driver, and that was when I knew she had some bad intentions too. We ended up in front of the TV. She just snuggled right up to my chest, and my hand fell on her. I don't think 30 seconds went by, and we looked and started kissing. I immediately started to undo her pants. As she's taking her pants off, she says she hasn't done this in 5 years, and she was really nervous. It was the hottest sex I'd ever had. I remember it vividly. Also similar to the top post, she was adamant I inside her, and she would talk about how she wanted to feel the warmth when I finish. I've never had a better sex partner. We ended up hooking up about 5 more times over the course of a year. I would go to her house a few towns over, and she would make us a full dinner. We chat over wine, and have such amazing and fulfilling sex. We both ended up dating people, but would stay in touch. We hooked up once again, when we were single again. I still see her a couple times a year, when I visit for family BBQs and pool parties at my friend's house. Everything is super cool. We still glance and rub and nudge. We still hug for way too long. No one has a clue. Except Reddit. Edit. Thanks for the gold. By the way, it's true, but I agree it is tough to distinguish what stories are true or false on this thread. Let's just enjoy it, be friends, and not measure lizards, alright? Her daughter dumped me for a guy she didn't like, and I fell on hard times with my mom, so I would occasionally go over there to shower and eat something. She was in her 40s, very thin but had a very nice face, and was always very nice to me. I was 18 and always very complimentary to her, and thankful for her helping me out. She was helping me without her daughter's knowledge as well. One day a hug goodbye got really long. She wouldn't let go, but she wasn't doing anything else. Just hanging on very tight. Being 18 and, because of our relationship, I developed an instant erection. I guess she felt it and nuzzled closer. I started kissing her neck. Pulled her dress up. I guess her husband didn't really pay attention to her. Something I didn't notice or pay attention to while I was dating her daughter. We went at it for a few hours as the house was empty. She must have been pent up. It was honestly surreal. It didn't set in for a few days. My ex and my friends were all intertwined. I couldn't tell anyone and never have. Happened a few more times until I had my life in order and it seemed like she was starting to regret cheating on her husband. Would only let me inside of her, which blew my mind as I had been constantly pulling out of her daughter for fear of the obvious. It definitely made being dumped by my first girlfriend a lot easier to deal with. When I was 20, the friend in question's mom could get us into a bar her friend owns. Every week me and 3 friends would go, and she would buy every drink and be over all of us. One night after her son crapped out early, I just said the hell with it, went along with it. When we got back to the house, she was hot for a mom, but a dead fish in bed, so it felt really underwhelming to say the least. Anyway, she made me breakfast the next morning, blew me real fast, and took me home all before he woke up. To this day the friend I'm pretty sure knows, but we don't talk about it. Friend of mine slept with my sister and kept making a big deal about it. I honestly could have cared less, and his mom was always making offhand sexual comments when I was around her, so I decided to go for it. She had him when she was 16. We were around 18 to 19, so she wasn't old and still looked pretty good. Came through one day knowing he wasn't there after flirting with her pretty hard for a few weeks, and she almost immediately jumped my bones. We slept together for a while after and neither of us ever said a word about it. It was fun while it lasted, and I didn't stay friends with the guy for other reasons. But any time he mentioned that he slept with my sister, I had the satisfaction of knowing his mom was extremely into ATM and like a champion. ATM, since people wanna be about it. Leaving the other one, cause I couldn't care less. I didn't know he was her dad. He was just someone I was sleeping with, but one night, when we were out driving, we drove past my old high school and he mentioned that his daughter went there. I made the connection with the surname and asked, he confirmed. I know a girl who cheated on her BF of 5 years with his dad. She and the dad are married now. Had sex with my mom's friends. Pretty traumatic experience in all honesty, so I'm sorry if this isn't the erotica you guys are looking for, haha. I was only 14, 15, whatever, a freshman in high schoolies. She had always been the cool mom out of my mom's friend group, hooked me up with my first job at a catering company she worked for, snuck me and my friends alcohol from time to time, etc. It was also pretty apparent her marriage was on the rocks for some time. One night we were both working a catering event together that had an open bar, and she had quite a bit to drink and began flirting a little. She would ask me questions about if I had ever been with an older woman, what I like to do to girls, weird, but in all honesty, I went along with it at the time. Fast forward to the end of the night, she was my ride home and was too drunk to drive, so I drove her car home to my dad's place. As soon as I parked the car, she forced my hands on her breasts and started fondling I was in shock and managed to stutter something resembling, "We shouldn't do this." She proceeded to coerce me and tell me I was gay if I didn't want to do it, and that it would be weird if I didn't. I eventually caved in and proceeded to receive the most painful of my life that left actual marks on my and awkward van sex. I remember feeling like I wanted to throw up as I walked into my dad's house 15 minutes after I had pulled up. Not quite the wild pool boy story, but I was hoping to shed some light on how ugly these scenarios can wind up. I apologize if I made any grammar or formatting mistakes, as I'm on mobile. Edit. This is the 4th time I was ever able to talk about this in my life. Thank you for all the support, Reddit. This what makes this platform so awesome. For those wondering, yes, I'm doing quite alright now. I dealt with a lot of men can't be raped, when one day I broke down crying when my mom told me she was going to be in attendance of my going away party before I enlisted. Thankfully my parents realized that was damaging, and I had zero reason to lie. I have learned to move on, and I like to believe I live a pretty fulfilling life now. Not a friend, but a bully. He bullied me for being queer, so his dad. I made damn sure he could hear me screwing his dad. The bullying stopped. His parents were already heading for a divorce, and I just pushed them closer to a divorce. Now they are separated, and now he is married to a nice man. so he wasn't really a friend per se. I used to buy weed off him in my mid-20s, and he was about 20 and lived with his mom. She was late 40s, definitely r/trash of a material. Went by once, and he was just leaving. His mom asked if I wanted to drive her to the bar. Turns out she had had a few, and currently had a breathalyzer in her car. I knew I was getting laid whether I wanted it or not. Anyway, fun night. Never went by there again. I had sex with an ex-girlfriend's mom. She broke up with me, and a couple of weeks later, I ran into her mom in the grocery store. Her mom commented that she missed me being around, and I said I missed her too. She was a pretty cool mom. She told me that her divorce got finalized, her sister was going to move in, and some other small talk type stuff that we both shared as we walked around the store. I helped her put her groceries in her car, and she hugged me. She told me I should come over sometime and see her new paintings. She was an artist. I went over a week or so later, and she served me some wine and basically seduced me and introduced me to roleplay at the same time. We did mommy and son incest roleplay, and, my god, it was so hot. We saw each other for over a year, and then she moved. I miss her sometimes.